In this lecture, we're going to talk about the requirements towards the retention of business records. First of all, let's define what we mean by business records. Business records are documents or files that record business transactions or activities. These can include emails, meeting minutes, financial reports, employee records, customer databases, contracts, and more. Essentially any record that provides insight into the business's operations, obligations, or history is considered a business record. These records are crucial for legal compliance, historical reference, and informed decision-making. Business records go through a life cycle. They are created, used, retained, preserved, and eventually disposed or destroyed. Each stage has its own set of security considerations, from the moment a record is created, through its active use, to its retention for legal or business purposes, and finally its secure disposal. Each step needs careful management to ensure data stays secure. Let's have a look at some examples for retention requirements. First of all, you need to understand that the examples we are about to discuss can vary significantly from country to country, so don't take the numbers shown in the diagram too seriously. For instance, in the United States, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act requires businesses to retain financial records and audits for at least 7 years, whereas in the European Union, the General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR in short, mandates that personal data should not be kept longer than necessary, but it doesn't specify a precise time frame, leaving it to individual member states to interpret this rule. In the healthcare sector, the United States Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, known as HIPAA, requires the retention of health records for 6 years from the date of its creation or the date when it last was in effect, whichever is later. Meanwhile, in Australia, the Corporations Act mandates companies to keep financial records for at least 7 years. So to sum it up, as a security manager, you do not only need to be aware of the retention requirements in your specific country, but you also need to understand the nuances and interpretations of these laws in various jurisdictions, especially if you operate globally. This knowledge is vital for ensuring compliance and protecting your organization from potential legal risks. As we have just seen, there are quite a few legal and regulatory requirements to consider. Now the thing is, businesses can come up with their own retention requirements as well. For example, an organization can decide to keep financial records for 20 years. In this case, the business retention requirements would obviously exceed the legal and regulatory requirements, which is totally fine. However, it is generally advised to destroy or dispose information when it is no longer needed. For that reason, organizations should develop a data retention policy that meets legal and business requirements without allowing for the preservation of information until eternity.